The three habits that make older men genuinely attractive to women have nothing to do with how they look. They are habits of character, built through years of deliberate practice, and the men who have them don't even realize how rare they've become, but the women around them notice, every single time. What we're covering today are three specific masculine habits, each one rooted in Stoic philosophy and confirmed by modern attraction psychology, that older men develop when they have genuinely done the internal work. Habit number 2 involves something that Marcus Aurelius practiced every single morning that produced a quality in him that people around him described as almost magnetic. And the climax, habit number 3, contains the deepest truth about masculine attractiveness that Stoic philosophy offers. It will reframe everything you think you know about what women actually respond to. The Stoics built their entire philosophy around one central conviction: that character is not given, it is built through daily, deliberate, consistent practice of specific habits that develop specific qualities over time. Marcus Aurelius didn't wake up grounded. He practiced groundedness every morning in his journals before he faced the world. Epictetus didn't emerge from slavery with wisdom intact. He built it through decades of deliberate philosophical practice in circumstances that would have destroyed most people. The three habits we're covering today are the practical application of that philosophy to masculine character and genuine attraction, not techniques, not strategies. Habits that, practiced consistently over years, produce the kind of man that women find genuinely, deeply compelling. 3 habits, real philosophy, real psychology. Let's go. Bold claim. The single most immediately attractive quality an older man can possess is the habit of deliberate stillness. And most men have never consciously developed it because nobody told them it was something that could be practiced. Here is what deliberate stillness actually means. It is not slowness. It is not passivity. It is the specific quality of a man who has developed the habit of not being hurried by external circumstances, who moves at his own pace, responds at his own rhythm, occupies space without apologizing for it or shrinking from it. The Stoic foundation is Marcus Aurelius's practice of morning preparation, the daily habit of beginning each day with deliberate internal stillness before engaging with the world. He wrote, "Begin the morning by saying to yourself, I shall meet with the busybody, the ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, envious, unsocial," not as pessimism, as preparation. The man who has prepared his internal state before engaging with external circumstances moves through those circumstances differently. He is not at the mercy of whatever the day produces. He has already established his own internal ground to stand on. The practical result of this daily habit over years of consistent practice is a quality of presence that is immediately distinguishable from men who are carried along by whatever is happening around them. He doesn't rush through conversations because he's anxious about silence. He doesn't fill every moment with words because he needs the interaction to go a certain way. He moves through a room at his own pace, unhurried, present, completely occupying the space he's actually in, rather than mentally already in the next one. The neuroscience here is direct. Research on nonverbal communication and attraction consistently shows that movement pace and stillness quality are among the most powerful nonverbal signals of internal state. Fast, anxious, reactive movement communicates an activated threat response. Deliberate, unhurried, grounded movement communicates genuine security. Women feel the difference in their own nervous systems before they consciously register it. Scenario: a man named Robert, 57, had been practicing this habit for 8 years, walked into a professional gathering. He didn't scan the room anxiously for people he knew. He didn't immediately fill his hands with a drink to have something to do. He simply arrived, stood still for a moment, looked around with genuine, unhurried curiosity. A woman named Diana noticed him from across the room before he had spoken to anyone. She told her colleague, "I don't know who that man is, but he moves like someone who has absolutely nothing to prove." That movement, that deliberate, grounded, completely present quality, was the first communication he had offered anyone that evening, before a word, before a smile, before anything. and it had already done more work than most men's entire conversations. What most men do wrong, they arrive in spaces already in motion, already performing, already managing, already one step ahead of themselves. The anxiety of social performance produces exactly the movement quality that communicates the opposite of what they want. What actually works, the morning preparation habit, 5 minutes before any significant social engagement, and ideally every morning as a baseline practice of deliberate stillness. Not meditation necessarily, simply sitting with your own internal state long enough to establish it before the external world starts pulling at it. This is not a quick fix. It is a practice. And like all genuine Stoic practices, its power compounds over time. The man who has practiced deliberate stillness for a decade carries it automatically, as a quality of character rather than a technique deployed in specific moments. Bold claim, older men who consistently invest in their physical health are not attractive because they look better. They are attractive because consistent physical discipline communicates something about character that nothing else can replicate, and the Stoics understood this completely. This is the habit most people understand superficially: exercise, physical health, body maintenance, and almost nobody understands deeply. Here is the deep truth. The Stoics viewed physical discipline not as vanity, but as ascesis, deliberate practice for the development of character. Epictetus wrote extensively about the discipline of the body as a training ground for the discipline of the mind. The habits of showing up for physical practice when you don't feel like it, of doing hard things consistently rather than occasionally, of maintaining a commitment to your own physical well-being regardless of circumstance. These habits build something in a man's character that extends far beyond his physical appearance. They build reliability, the specific quality of a man who does what he committed to doing, not when it's convenient, not when he feels motivated, but consistently, as a matter of discipline rather than mood. And reliability, felt through behavior over time, is one of the most powerfully attractive qualities available in human relationship. But here's the part no one tells you. Women are not primarily attracted to the result of physical discipline. They are attracted to the evidence of it, the evidence that this man shows up for hard things, that he treats himself as worth maintaining, that his relationship with difficulty is one of engagement rather than avoidance. That evidence, visible in how an older man carries himself, in the energy he brings to interactions, in the simple fact that he is still moving and growing and investing in himself decades in, communicates something that transcends physical appearance entirely. Mini story. A man named Lawrence, 62, had maintained a consistent physical practice for 20 years through every life difficulty imaginable, was described by a woman named Vivian after their third date in a way that surprised even her. "He's not what I thought I was attracted to physically," she told her sister, "but there's something about him. He moves like someone who takes care of himself, not in a vain way, in a disciplined way, like he respects himself enough to show up for the hard things." She paused. "I think that's what I'm actually attracted to, the discipline, not the result of it, the discipline itself." Vivian had articulated something that attraction research confirms. We are attracted to the behavioral patterns that predict how someone will treat us and the relationship. And consistent self-discipline is one of the most reliable predictors of consistency in relationship. What most men do wrong, they treat physical investment as purely cosmetic, something to pursue when they want to look better for someone specific, and abandon when that motivation fades. The intermittent quality of this approach communicates exactly the opposite of what genuine discipline communicates. What actually works, the practice of physical investment as philosophical discipline, not for appearance, not for anyone watching, because you have made a commitment to treating yourself as something worth showing up for, and you honor that commitment with the same reliability you would honor any other genuine commitment. That shift in motivation, from appearance to character, produces both better results and a completely different quality of energy around the practice. The man who exercises because he values discipline is a different man than the man who exercises because he's afraid of how he looks, and that difference is visible, always. This is the truth reveal, the deepest habit, the one that makes both other habits possible and both other habits meaningful. Bold claim, the most attractive masculine habit available to an older man, the habit that women describe in the most consistent, most emotional terms across cultures and circumstances, is the daily practice of honest self-knowledge, and the genuine peace with himself that knowledge over years produces. Let's be specific about what this actually means. Honest self-knowledge is not the same as self-improvement obsession. It is not the constant identification of flaws to be corrected. It is not the performance of introspection for social signaling purposes. It is the Stoic practice Marcus Aurelius engaged in every night, the honest examination of how he showed up during the day, what he did well, what he did poorly, not with self-punishment, not with self-congratulation, with the clear, honest, disciplined eye of someone who is genuinely trying to understand himself. Did I act virtuously today? Where did I fall short? What do I need to do differently tomorrow? That practice, maintained over years, over decades, produces something that no external achievement can replicate: a man who knows himself, who has looked at the complete picture of who he is, the genuine strengths and the real limitations, the places where he has grown and the places where he still struggles, and has arrived at genuine, quiet acceptance of the complete picture, not resignation, not satisfaction, peace. The specific psychological quality this produces in a man's presence is what women, across every age group, every background, every relationship history, consistently describe as the most attractive quality available. Here are their actual words, gathered from relationship research and direct female testimony. He seemed completely comfortable with himself. There was nothing he needed to prove. I felt like I could be honest with him because he was clearly honest with himself. He wasn't performing anything. He was just there, completely himself. I've never felt so seen by someone who seemed so at peace. All of these descriptions are pointing at the same thing: the product of the daily habit of honest self-knowledge practiced over years until it produces genuine self-acceptance. Mini story. A man named Edward, 65, had kept a journal of honest daily self-examination for 30 years, was described by a woman named Catherine after their first conversation in a way that neither of them expected. "I've been trying to figure out what it is about him," Catherine told her friend. "It's not his appearance. It's not that he's particularly impressive or successful. It's that he seems to know exactly who he is, not arrogantly, not defensively. He just knows himself, and that knowledge seems to have made him genuinely peaceful." She paused. "I want to be around that. I want to be near someone who has made peace with themselves because maybe I'll learn how to do the same." That is the deepest attraction principle in this entire video. Women are not simply attracted to the quality of self-knowledge and peace in an older man. They are attracted to what that quality offers them. The possibility of being near someone whose internal world is not a war zone, whose presence does not require management, whose peace is something they can borrow while they're working toward their own. The Stoic connection is profound. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, again a private journal, never intended for anyone else: "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." That sentence, written 17 centuries ago, describes exactly what the daily habit of honest self-knowledge ultimately produces: a life whose quality is determined from the inside out, a man whose internal state is not hostage to external circumstances, other people's approval, or the accumulated weight of unexamined history. That man, the one who has done this work over years, who has arrived at something genuine through daily honest practice, is the rarest and most attractive version of masculine presence available. Not because he is perfect. He is not. The Stoics were explicit that virtue is a practice, not an achievement, that no man fully arrives, but the man who consistently shows up for the practice is fundamentally different from the man who doesn't. The difference is felt by everyone around him, and by no one more clearly than the women who encounter him and find themselves, for perhaps the first time, in the presence of a man who is completely, genuinely, peacefully himself. Here is the final Stoic truth I want to leave you with. These three habits, deliberate stillness, disciplined physical investment, and honest self-knowledge, are not techniques to be deployed in pursuit of attraction. They are practices to be developed in pursuit of genuine character. The attraction is a consequence, not the goal, and that distinction, the willingness to pursue virtue rather than its rewards, is itself the most Stoic thing available to a man. Seneca wrote, "Retire into yourself as much as possible," not as isolation, as the ongoing practice of knowing yourself completely, accepting yourself honestly, and building from that foundation outward into every relationship and every interaction. The man who does this, daily, imperfectly, consistently, becomes the man that others find inexplicably compelling, not because he was trying to be, because he was busy becoming genuinely himself. Here is the question I want to leave you with. Of these three habits, deliberate stillness, disciplined physical investment, and honest self-knowledge, which one are you most consistently neglecting? Not which sounds most interesting, not which one you'd like to develop someday. Which one right now represents the biggest gap between the man you currently are and the man these habits would help you become? Because the Stoics were clear, the gap is not a problem, it is a direction, and the daily practice of moving in that direction, however imperfectly, however slowly, is what character is actually made of. Drop in the comments which habit you're committing to starting this week, not someday, this week. I read every single comment, and if today gave you something genuinely useful, not just interesting, but actually worth carrying into your life, subscribe. Every week we bring this level of Stoic depth and honest psychology to the questions that actually matter. See you in the next one.